Wow, this is pretty crazy, isn't it? It's cold here in Tennessee. Some of the problems I've gone through here is, I'm trying to stay warm, but my entire house froze, all the water lines, except for two sinks, my kitchen sink and my bathroom sink, which was kind of nice because when the toilet was frozen, we could get water from the bathroom sink and dump it in the back of the toilet, which made things a whole lot easier. Now, that's not a bad thing for my house. My house usually freezes every year for a couple of days. I don't know what it is with the one side of my house, but when I first moved in here, and that was like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, 20 years? I don't know. But it always froze. And I threw so much money under my house, it's ridiculous. I laid plastic, I laid insulation, um, extra supports. I mean, I took out all the plastic piping. I put PEX piping in. That was the best thing I ever did. See, when you have PEX piping and it freezes, it actually expands and then it contracts back again. Normally, it does not break. It can, but normally it does not break. And mine has never broke. And usually I get one, like a laundry tub freezing, or I get a couple things freezing. Nothing big and major. I got to wait a couple days, and then everything unthaws and we're back to normal use again. Not this time. This time it got cold. And I mean really cold. I mean, for all those pipes to freeze, I was like, something's going to break. That's just way too many pipes froze. The bathtub, now today everything started unfreezing. The water started coming through again. The bathtub filled up with water, but it wouldn't drain. So in the actual S pipe, it had actually froze. And I was like, wow, that's a first. Now the S pipe, that's plastic piping. That's not PEX. I thought for sure that thing was going to crack. It didn't. I left the tub full. Probably took 5 hours before it finally released and the water started going down the drain and everything was clean. So I was pretty amazed. But I have water back with everything as of today. We went up to, it was 28, 30 degrees Fahrenheit, which 32 is freezing. So I was pretty surprised the water actually broke loose today. So that broke loose. We got 4 to 5 inches of snow overnight. Never have I ever seen this much snow in Tennessee. Ever. Whenever I've had snow, I've got older videos where we had snow one night and only one night. And then, we're back to warm weather again. Now, Saturday, we're going to be up to 45, and then we go up in the 60s, then the 70s. If everybody makes it till Saturday, which even Texas, everything will be fine. But it was pretty crazy, some of the things I seen going on here in this town. Like, they tell everybody here to stay out the towns, and it's like they were using any excuse they can to close things. Like our grocery store. I think that should have remained open until 9 o'clock at night. But they were closing it at 5. We only have one grocery store. That's it. So, why didn't they leave that on? It's almost like they were forcing you, if you needed something, you would have to jump in your vehicle, drive to the next town, and risk putting yourself in a ditch. That didn't make any sense to me. I mean, where I live, everybody drives a 4x4. It's not hard to get a ride home. Heck, I'll give somebody a ride home. So, but one thing I have noticed is the shelves themselves of soda, chips, anything that's like, comfort food, I guess you would call it. The shelves were empty. You couldn't even get a bag of chips anywhere. No soda or anything. They were out of everything. And that was kind of interesting. Now, at the same time, what's it called? Where they give you food for the poor. They kept postponing that. And I was like, oh, these guys need food. Like, what are you guys doing? A food bank. That's what it is. And they kept postponing that. Apparently, they can't get any food until the 25th. And I was like, man, oh, man. It's like every time a disaster happens, whether it be a pandemic or an ice age, I was like, that's pretty crazy. Now, me, I'm fine. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the video. Maybe I'll link it up. Where I bought 2 heavy-duty sleeping bags that are good to, minus 10 below or whatever. And I've been using them. And I'm quite comfortable. Now, My dogs, I've got them set up with old blankets they've chewed up and they curl up in them and everything's fine. Now, I do have heat, but my heat is struggling to keep up. And by the way, this is the warmest hat I've ever owned. But it's just amazing how the heat couldn't keep up in my house. Now, I've got my house set up where I've got heaters on the walls. They're ran by gas. And I have 3 of them throughout the house. Now, I did that in case I needed to contain heat to one room. Now, I didn't have to do it because it was reasonable. You could deal with it with a coat on. But if I had to, I could have put up moving blankets across the doors, cranked the heat, and that room would have been 110 degrees. And that's what I've done. So I can control heat in the bedroom, the hallway, and the living room quite easily. And I can do it in each bedroom separately. Now, when I was younger, when I was a kid, I was homeless for a good couple of months in the middle of winter, January and February in Canada. And I was young. I mean, I was like, I don't know, 19 or so. And I survived it, and it was rough. But it did affect my mind somewhat because now, well, I've done this all my life now, and it's just weird. Like, I must own probably 25 coats. I am so scared of freezing and being cold, it's ridiculous on how much of a bad time I went through back then. And that's why I pretty much have everything that there is to keep you warm, from from tent pads to heavy duty sleeping bags to, down-filled jackets. I mean, hats. I mean, gloves. I'm not freezing again. Literally, I could walk out there minus 40 below and be just fine from a lot of the equipment I bought it over. Now, maybe I'm nuts, but that experience from when I was younger definitely turned around and just messed me up. Now, a lot of things I see people doing, and I'm just like scratching my head. Like, there's people in Texas bringing barbecues in their house. And I thought, choking themselves out through carbon dioxide and everything. And bringing their generator inside the house. And I was just like, wow. Now, the funny thing is, in my town, I mean, this is only going to be here, 4 or 5 days. In a couple of days, it's gone. They were selling toboggans. Our hardware store was like, we got toboggans in. And of course, they sold out. Probably never going to need that toboggan for, I don't know, another 10 years. Like, it was just unbelievable. You think they'd just go get a cardboard box and slide down the hill? It didn't make any sense to me. But to lose electricity, that would not affect me either. I have 2 generators. And just before the storm came, I tested both of them, make sure they were all running, make sure I didn't have to clean the carbs or anything. So that wouldn't affect me either. I guess most people don't have a generator. And it's sad because a lot of people in Texas, when I was watching the videos on Facebook and stuff, they looked like they lived in quite nice homes. I mean, I was seeing $400,000 homes. I mean, they were beautiful, all brick buildings. They were gorgeous. You would think somebody like that would have thought about buying a generator and throwing it in the garage. But I guess they didn't. I found that amazing. And now we've had some situations here where people have gone in a ditch. We even had a situation where they're putting in a new highway here, going out of town. And they have a stoplight there that stops traffic to go one way on both sides because they're working on the highway. Well, that light broke. And our sheriff actually said he doesn't have time to stand there and direct traffic and it's too cold. He's got other calls to go to, 911 calls, and he called the company. Well, the company told him, we'll pay you, go ahead and do the traffic, and they never did. So now we got this stretch of highway where it's a one-way, where the light's out, and nobody knows what's going on. I don't have any idea what happened there. No idea. I mean, you think they would have simply sent out a notice on Facebook saying, hey, we need like 4 people, and you're going to make X amount of money, and I'm sure people would have said, hey, I'll do it. But they never did. I don't know what that was. It looked like a bunch of drama, like our sheriff was whining. I never seen anything like it. We did have an accident at our marina, which is, I don't know, 20-minute drive for me. And apparently the roofs, the tin roofs that sat at the marina and the houseboats were underneath, these damn things flipped over and took a few boats with them, and some people went in the water. Apparently nobody died. But can you imagine landing in the water when it was like that cold? Oh my God. But they took care of that. Now I've got a bunch of cats in houses, as you've seen if you looked at my last videos, and they're doing fine. That setup I got with the cooler in the hole, and I got a heating pad in there. I mean, I'd stick my hand inside there and pet the cat to see if the cat was warm, and the cat was, oh, as warm as could be. And he can get under a special blanket and everything I got set up in there. So those cats are pretty well. Birds are going crazy. I'm putting out extra food, peanuts, sunflower seeds. I mean, they're literally scoffing up the food as fast as they can. And it's just amazing to watch that. I did shovel the sidewalk, which is unheard of in Tennessee. You don't shovel sidewalks here. So that was interesting. I can't wait for Saturday. Saturday we go up. This is gone. Springtime kicks in, and that'll be the end of it. But it's just crazy what's going on. Now, Texas seems to be getting most of the news, is what's going on there. We're not. Tennessee ain't getting no news at all. I mean, we got people without heat. We got people. I mean, it's just crazy what's going on here. People are jumping in their cars and running their cars 8 hours. I don't think that's very good for your transmission, especially if you got a gasoline engine. And they're trying to stay warm like that. There's even people in Texas that have done it inside their garage with the garage door down. It's almost like they're trying to commit suicide. People really get stupid in emergency situations instead of just sitting down and thinking it out. I hope Texas learns a lesson and they all go buy a couple of sleeping bags. I mean, sleeping bags are not a lot of money. I mean, you can get a really good sleeping bag for $100 if you just look around on Amazon. I hope they've learned their lesson. But I don't think they are. I don't think they will. I think they'll just think, okay, we made it. That's the end of it. I keep a couple of sleeping bags even inside my truck in case my truck breaks down. I can start a fire along the side of the road if my truck breaks down somewhere. And we don't even really get that cold. But like I said, I'm a fanatic about being cold. I don't like being cold. I hate it with a passion. But it is pretty crazy on just watching all these people, and not very many of them were ready. Now, what I got thinking was, I started looking around, and all of a sudden YouTube started suggesting nuclear holocaust stuff, and I started watching that. And one thing that concerned me was they talked about Pakistan and India having an all-outright nuclear war. And if those two countries went at it, and we'd have no control over it, they pushed a button, that's it, right? Well, they would send us into a nuclear winter. And literally the dust and everything would just hit the skies. And who knows how long, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Can you imagine if we had to go through this for something like 5 years? I mean, my water wouldn't have come back on. That would have been crazy. Now, I do have extra jugs of water. I can carry on with water for a month if I have to. But I would have been trying to get down to get some water at the river or something because my house wasn't producing. Or I would have had to get underneath there and cut the lines and run new lines and start heating under my house. But one thing's for sure, if this country had to go through that, or any place in the world, oh, I see 50% of the population being done very quickly. They even had some mayor from some other town that resigned telling everybody to learn to survive and suck it up. And I was just like, listening to that guy, and I was like, you know how many people are old and disabled and just don't have the money to buy this stuff? I mean, a lot of people in the United States that are on disability are lucky if they get $700 a month. How do you go buy a $700 generator when all you're doing is getting $700 a month? I mean, it makes it very difficult to prepare. If anything, that should be doubled, but they really live a rough lifestyle in this country. But I'll be glad when Saturday comes and I can get warm again. But one thing's for sure, I think this storm was a big eye-opener for Texas, and probably for a lot of preppers. But one, keep a sleeping bag around, keep hats, gloves, I mean, just some basic things to keep yourself warm. To me, that's just common sense. So I'm sure a lot of people that have made mistakes with their preps are definitely going to be rethinking what they did wrong here. All right. A couple more days. Catch you guys on the next one.